Okay, look. I have no good excuse for why I'm actually making this video. Sometimes you just run out of actually thought-provoking or serious ideas, and just want to screw around every now and again in order to silence the goblin in the back of your head. Am I relating to literally anyone right now? I don't know, but cutting to the chase, we're back in the addictive world of Balatro, and instead of looking at anything in an objective sense this time, we're gonna have some fun and laser in on one of the main attractions of the game, the Jokers, and attempt to corrupt your perception of them forevermore. For you see, there are many ways to judge a Joker in this game, from how much potential they have to take your score to the moon, their use in higher stake runs, or even less gameplay focused things like their sprites or the outside media they reference. But how about something a bit more romantic? Sure, they can help you with your poker hands, but could they take your hand in marriage? No need to dive into this intro anymore, I'm sure you get the gist. So let's dive into whatever circle of purgatory this is and see where we end up. There's no better place to start in this game than the four malts man himself, Jimbo the Joker. Unlike any other card in this game, this guy actually talks to you, and pretty regularly at that, not only giving you a pretty good tutorial as to how the game works when you first play, but dropping in whenever you either win or lose a run to either hype you up, or kick you while you're down after you're mad about not reading the boss bind again, god damn it! Anyways, you may think on one hand that this level of emotional whiplash would simply be too much to handle for any healthy relationship, but personally, I think it's good to have someone who you can both trust and have a bit of a joke with. There's personality there, some spice even, which I appreciate. Jimbo also seems to be friends with a hell of a lot of other game characters, which suggests to me he's got some charisma to him that we don't get to see. Some hidden allure that makes him even more enticing. So, I think our guide into the world of Balatro starts us off with a definite smash. Ugh, dear god, what am I doing? After Jimbo, there's a solid amount of Jokers that are functionally just recolors with different names, so let's do a lightning round to sort them out. Just an upbeat and comforting presence to be around, I'm sure, but only having that going for him kinda gives me the impression of a love bomber. Someone who won't be fully truthful with you if it might make you upset, and I just can't trust that. Pass. We do love a bit of tomfoolery to our partners. A hint of silliness is always a plus for me. Smash. Okay, I know I just said we do love some silliness, but mad sounds just a bit too aggressive for me. I don't want to end up a victim in a true crime documentary about a killer clown. Pass. Similar story to the Mad Joker, but I feel like my life is a bit less at risk. Crazy Joker gives me the vibe of that one crackhead that you never want to be anywhere close to, but some of the stuff he says and does is admittedly kinda funny. Still, pretty definitive pass. What the hell does Joel mean? So, pretty similar to Zany Joker, but with a slightly more dry and unusual sense of humour, and a prettier colour scheme. Yeah, we go smash here. Sly immediately gives me the feeling of mistrust that I don't enjoy in the slightest, but I'll admit there is an appeal to a cunning, ice-cold man. Could go either way on this one, but faithfulness means much more to me, so pass. Wiley means that this guy is a master manipulator, which I don't think I need to explain is a massive red flag when it comes to romance. Immediate pass. Ooh, someone with brains this time. The kind of person you could listen to for hours about whatever interest they love, but intelligence with no passion is the kind of impression I get with this guy, which would kind of just lead to a boring relationship. Would 100% friendzone this guy, pass. Okay, back into the territory of Jokers that I would not feel safe around, so already a bad start. Plus, I'm sorry, but this thing has negative dress sense. Like, what are we doing with this blue on the hat but yellow on the shirt? I can't be dealing with this, pass. Another Joker that errs on the side of danger, but unlike something like the Sly Joker, Crafty suggests a bit more whimsy that I can certainly get behind. Plus, it's a Joker that synergizes with flushes, and we love that, so smash. We always appreciate Local Thunk giving love to Jokers that have been in car accidents, and I truly do wish him the best, but you wouldn't really date half a human, would you? So, pass. That's the majority of the Jokers that are just clear recolors of Jimbo that don't even get their own unique names, outside of a single personality trait. There are other Jokers who are pretty similar to Jimbo, but they have some other unique things to stand out, so Yeah, they'll be later on. We have over 130 Jokers left to cover, let's get a move on. From Jokers that work with specific hands to ones that work with specific suits, we have the +3 per suit quartet, the greedy, lusty, wrathful, and gluttonous Jokers. Never realised these things are named after deadly sins until now, so that's already a bit of a danger sign, but let's not be too hasty. Starting with the greedy Joker, I'm very much getting gold digger vibes from it. Someone who would heavily judge you if you couldn't support their lavish lifestyle and would never truly love you if you couldn't, so that's a pass. Lusty Joker is likely an even harder pass for me. No judgment if you're into the more spicy side of romance, like this one would, but if that's all you have to offer, then I can't be providing that. Another pass. Wrathful Joker puts us right back into being scared for my life with these things, but even more so considering he's the embodiment of the literal sin of wrath, so pass again. Gluttonous Joker seems at least the most chill of these four. Like, yeah, he's probably quite lazy and a bit of a slob, so I'm still gonna pass, but at least I'm not completely repulsed or scared of this guy, which, for these four, is an achievement I'm realising. Sticking with the suits theme, let's look at the 4 stone Jokers, those being the Rough Gem, Bloodstone, Spearhead, and Onyx Agate. Now, obviously we can't state literal minerals, apologies to any of my golems out there, but I had a bit of a different idea, that being judging them based on how good they would be as wedding rings, as a gift for that special someone. Going by this metric, Spearhead is an easy pass because, from the looks of things, it's just a rock. It looks like you could carve this thing out of your closest rose, but the other 3 are actual gemstones and could actually work. Rough Gem is an odd one to think about. It's obviously meant to be a diamond, which would be perfect for a ring, but it's entirely unprocessed, so this is like, instead of treating your partner to a nice 5-star meal, you plonk all of the ingredients on the table and just stare at them expectantly. I'm sure someone who would love to do cooking would treat this as an actually fun date idea, and I'm sure any geologist would really love a gift like the Rough Gem, but for our purposes, about rings, it's a pass. The Bloodstone is an easy smash on the ring scale. The deep greens mixed with the red spots complement each other incredibly. Like, I don't even wear rings in real life, and I want this one. And the Onyx Agate is personally another easy smash. The void black with these almost wave-like layers of grey look almost ashy to me, like you're staring into the night sky with small clusters of bright stars. It's really pretty. We aren't quite done in our rocky expeditions though, as the Marble, Stone, and Ancient Jokers are up next. The Marble Joker is another Jimbo lookalike, but with this, you guessed it, marble texture that makes it look like one of those ancient Greek statues, which the thought of Plato and other Greek philosophers getting in around a Balatro is very funny. However, mere imitations of the reliable and friendly Jimbo just aren't going to fly here, so the Marble Joker is getting a pass, and similarly, I don't think a bloody cave painting of Jimbo is exactly on the same level as the front page of Vogue either. I'm sure it would have been the height of media in the caveman time, but it's also getting a pass from me. Ancient Joker has its own look at least, which I appreciate, but it's also very much abstract. Hell, it looks like a Picasso human with the Joker hat. So while I am certainly a fan of history and ancient artifacts, this one is getting a pass as well. Okay, that's a lot of passes so far. We need some harder choices in this. So let's grab some Jokers with some personality to them. Let's go with... aha, some performers. The Juggler and Drunkard have similar designs, but while one is a simple performer with a cute little talent, the other has necked at minimum 2 beers and is likely about to chuck those bottles at someone's head. So pass on the Drunkard, but the Juggler seems fun enough, smash. And then we have some more circus members in the Acrobat, Chaos the Clown, and the Ringmaster himself, the Showman. The first of which seems to be a double act, which likely makes this a package deal. I have nothing against polyamory, of course, but I feel like these two have already got a strong bond going, and I don't want to be a homewrecker, pass on them. Chaos the Clown is maybe one of the more threatening names for a clown, which already aren't the most soothing things to be around if you ask me, so that's going to be a no from me, pass on him. But Showman has a lot more appeal. To be the leader of a circus, you need stage presence, a sense of drama and charisma to entice a crowd, which is an energy that I'm very partial to. Plus that suit and especially the top hat are so fun in a goofy way. He was already getting a smash, just maybe sort that mustache out and we'll be perfect here, okay? The concept of Jokers naturally lend themselves quite well to the performing arts, so there's still a few more to cover, namely the Mime, Sock and Buskin, Troubadour, and the Hack. I am already struggling with my unease around clown-like beings with the rest of these Jokers, but I fear the Mime is just a tad too far for me. I respect the art form a ton, but pass. Troubadour is a lot more appealing though, dipping more into a musical poetry kind of realm that sounds a mile more romantic and pleasant. Smash for him. Hack looks like he is utterly flopping on the stage, so while the comedy factor of this guy not being great is a negative, we do love sad and pathetic men out here. It's cute in a way, so he gets a smash, but just barely. Then we have Sock and Buskin, which is one of the first Jokers we've looked at that's slightly less of its own entity and more of a symbol or concept, that being the contrasting masks that are symbols of comedy and tragedy. They do have parallel characters in Greek mythology as two of the 9 muses that would inspire humanity in various creative endeavours, and out of the mess that is the Greek pantheon, these gods are likely some of the more peaceful ones to worship, so smash for the Sock and Buskin. I don't really have a good transition to another group of Jokers from Greek mythology, so it sounds like it's time for our first lightning round of random Jokers that are hard to categorise. Let's go! Look, it's literally just a flag that has a strange number of balance changes according to the wiki. The colours are pretty and kind of remind me of the lesbian pride flag without the pinks, which we love that, but it's a bloody flag, pass. Okay, hear me out on this one. A mystical mountaintop with magical energy in the air coursing through you would actually be a really interesting date spot. Maybe taking a hike together with your partner and camping on this magical summit. I don't know, it sounds really fun to me. Smash. I've never been a person who partakes in any form of loyalty card because it never seems like it's worth the effort. Plus, this might be one of the least fun Jokers to use in the entire game, so pass. Pass. A very unique Joker design, using an hourglass to represent holding your discards for rewards later. But while this is one of the neatest sprites in the game, it's just another inanimate object, pass. So, apparently pareidolia means finding patterns or shapes amongst objects, which is being used here to show a poker hand looking like a face, which is why this thing turns everything into face cards. It's a really creative design for a Joker, so for that alone, smash. Apparently the name of this Joker is based on a 2002 S Club 7 album, or just S Club at the time, which is one hell of an inspiration to pull from, and it means absolutely nothing to me. Never listened to any of their stuff, so that's a pass out of absolute indifference. Speaking of Jokers named after songs, this one is at least based on a song that I'm familiar with, and a pretty catchy one at that, so I'll give this one a smash because there isn't much else to go off of. A Joker who spams out a bunch of other common Jokers gives me the impression of a hoarder, someone who would fill our home with useless bullshit that takes up way too much space and it's just a hassle to be around. No way I can deal with that, pass. Another location Joker, so I struggle to say anything about the Joker itself, but the term shortcut immediately makes me think of Sans and his whole bit where he just floats off the screen saying he knows a shortcut. So, for reminding me of my Undertale brain rot, pass. Let's recover from that rapid pace with some of the more regular Joker designs that are closer to our Jimbo. How about this group of goobers? Mr. Andrew over here very much falls into the crazy killer clown category looks-wise, but these kinds of Jokers are actually on the more wholesome side, entertaining through a steady stream of jokes like a comedian. However, I don't think that's quite enough to say how scary he would be to look at, pass. Misprint is kind of a weird one to talk about because it's much less of an actual character or Joker and just a card. A very unique card that I would like to have in like a collection or something, but nothing in terms of dating, pass again. Odd Todd and even Steven have some neat design choices. All of Todd's details like his hat, clothing bubbles and the number of open eyes are all odd numbers, while Steven's are obviously all even. So that plus the opposite colour schemes are clever ways of sticking to their respective themes. Steven is likely a slight smash because of all this, but that wink that Todd is giving me gives me the ick, pass. Finally, the scholar is obviously well educated, which shows commitment, a plus for sure, but screw that because this Joker sprite is actually missing 2 pixels, one on top of the left E and one from the bottom left R. And now you will never unsee that because, as a pixel artist, I certainly won't, so pass due to psychic damage. Psychic damage makes me think of some of the more magical Jokers in the game, such as Hallucination, Seance, Sixth Sense, and Four Fingers, the first of which is a personal favourite of mine because it combines 2 of my favourite things, tarot card shenanigans, and gambling, baby! The shape and overall design of the card are slightly off from the standard, which is accurate due to hallucinations often being unclear and messy, so props for the creativity as well. Got to be a smash for this thing. Then we have the spectral generators of Sixth Sense and Seance, the former of which has a neat design. We do love our purples here, and the latter also having a very neat and mystical look to it, with the ghost-like blues being perfect for a ceremony of communicating with the dead. But dating-wise, these two do pretty much nothing, and messing with spirits never tends to end well, so pass on that front for the both of them. Four Fingers has probably one of my favourite sprites in the game, so point there. Plus this thing would give very unique hand-holding sessions, which are obviously cute, so a pretty easy smash here. Also the accidental lookalike to Loss is very funny. From the magical to the interstellar now, we have a decent variety of space-based jokers, starting with the Supernova and Constellation. I am a massive fan of space aesthetics. I had a whole phase where I drew nothing but nebula backgrounds, so I'm obviously very into the looks of these two, but while the Supernova is going to look gorgeous, so smash there, despite it 100% killing me if I got even anywhere close, seeing a massive clown shape in the sky would be the most terrifying thing I've seen in my life. I would think the world is about to meet a very comical end, so pass. Satellite and rocket ship are the vessels of space travel we have here, the latter of which cleanly falls into the inanimate objects that I have very few feelings for, so a quick pass there. But I'm gonna be honest, the Satellite has by far my favourite sprite in the entire game. The huge variety of radiant blues blending together, and the grand scale of the planet below, just makes for a gorgeous scene, so I'm giving it a smash just for that, no logic needed. Finally, for our interplanetary adventures, we have the Spaceman and Astronomer, the first of which is one of the more fun jokers gameplay-wise, both because of more gambling opportunities, but also because he always seems like he's trying his best. Even if he does miss the trigger or upgrades the wrong hand, I can respect a hard worker like him, so smash. The Astronomer is a massive shrug for me. He isn't really in the shade of blue I enjoy the most. Plus, having to fit in all of the planets at once makes the sprite feel a bit too busy in gameplay, so pass on this guy. A trip to space does make you miss whatever's back home, so let's go through some of the more location-based jokers for a bit. The campfire has this very intimate look to it with the lighting, and while camping isn't my favourite activity, I'll be honest, that feeling of being able to talk to someone in the quiet of the wilderness, one-to-one, feeling safe with them sounds very cute, so I'll go for a smash here. The castle is the complete opposite of this, as this place looks extravagant. The snowy landscapes are always pretty and romantic feeling for me, but that humble feeling that came from the campfire is a huge miss here, and the grandeur of the castle would be a pretty intimidating place to bring a partner back home to, so pass. Then the obelisk is the most mysterious of these locations, more of a historic landmark than a home or place to hang out. So if your partner is a major history buff, then I'm sure this would be a nice date location. And I tend to enjoy my dives into history and old landmarks, so despite my hatred of this thing in actual gameplay, I'll give it a slight smash. Speaking of dates, what could be more classic of a date idea than a nice dinner? And Balatro has a healthy variety of foods to snack on, such as the popcorn and ice cream, two naturally perishable jokers. As I'm writing this, I'm actually going through a bit of a craving for popcorn, which is very funny. So because this joker is really distracting me from writing due to hunger, I'm mad and passing it because of that. And ice cream isn't faring much better because none of these colours really look appealing to me. They reminded me of blue bubblegum, strawberry and a mango sorbet kind of flavour, none of which really I'm particularly fond of, so I'm passing because of that again. The two bananas suffer from a similar issue for me, not enjoying the actual food, and that's compounded by the fact that it's not really a food you really want to eat out with someone, like at a movie theatre or date. But there's a very funny, hilarious penis joke that I could be making about these bananas, so I'm just gonna say pass, not for me, but I'm sure it will do it for someone. Finally, we have the turtle bean and ramen. I've never had a turtle bean myself, but I've heard they're good, and they're apparently used in Latin American cuisine, which I am very partial to, so smash for this thing. And ramen is something I'm far more familiar and loving of, especially the more complex versions with more ingredients we see here. So it's another smash here. I might just be fat at heart. We're not quite done with the edible jokers yet, as there's a couple of stragglers in the Diet Cola and the Seltzer, the two drink options we have tonight. I'm not the largest fan of carbonated drinks as it is, I'm gonna be honest, and carbonated water is especially one that I've never been a fan of. If I just want to drink goddamn water, and then I don't want to have fizz in it, I just want to hydrate myself and call it a day, so I'm easily passing on the seltzer. The cola is a bit less of a turn-off for me. Stuff like Coke or Pepsi aren't the worst to me, but I'm never going to actively look them out over something else. And I really can't think of anything else to fill the segment with, so I'm just gonna pass them and move on, okay? Looks like we've hit another dead end on our adventures, so now looks like the perfect time for lightning round number 2. Let's go. We do love money over here, and the credit card could allow you to buy an even better date for you and that special someone. Smash. I've got a great deal of respect and admiration for abstract art and the amount of creativity, practice and effort it takes, and this interpretation of it is pretty fun and has a nice colour palette, while still maintaining that cold stare of the Jokers. Smash. Okay, no one liked getting advertised to. I'm sure most of you have been pestered by ads during your viewing experience today, and have been inconvenienced by it, so just out of principle, pass. Always been a fan of fortune-telling things. They are fun, although the Magic 8 Ball is one of the least exciting forms in my opinion, but once again, funny gambling joker, smash. Okay, I know this is a gross math joker, but my neurodivergent brain very much appreciates patterns, and the golden ratio is also very fun to edit onto things, so smash just for the comedy factor.
Let me see what you have! No!
This being a play on words of the pot in poker, being the currently bet chips, is a nice joke, but this is just another random object that inspires very little reaction from me. Pass. Thinking about this joker just reminds me of how torturous public transport can be when something goes wrong, like boiling in the summer or if a particularly stinky man sits near you. So pass just due to bringing up those memories. The perfect way to avoid said public transport, the Joker depicted on this is obviously not Jimbo, but Jen, who have canonically never met actually. So Jen seems to be a much more stable and put together person, having passed their driving test, so smash for that honestly, she seems chill. No, I didn't forget about this thing during the food section, shut up. Anyway, eggs are tasty, even if they are painted to look like a clown, smash. A reference to just chucking your chips and scattering them when you bet in poker. Like a true drunk legend betting a whole family tree's college fund on this one hand, this thing is another joker that I'm passing on, due to gameplay reasons, because this is one of the most useless bums in the entire game. Like, get out of my shops, please and thank you. On the opposite end of the spectrum, DNA is one of my favourite jokers to use, as it enables my love for the good old Flush 5 builds that just feel so satisfying to pull off. Also, you know, DNA is the building block for all living things, so technically, your ideal partner is DNA. So smash for both of those reasons. This joker references the removal of materials due to water, usually occurring in areas such as rivers. Man, what do you want me to say about this? Just let me pass and move on. The effect buffing 10s and 4s is an adorable reference to what people say when receiving messages on walkie-talkies. Plus, using them brings back really fun memories of using these crappy Ben 10 walkie-talkies when I was younger. So, smash for bringing back some fun nostalgia. Restabilizing again, let's look at some of the more simplistic jokers in the game in terms of their function, the 5-hand specific times mult jokers. The duo for pairs represents a simple couple relationship, so that's a very easy smash. Then the trio suggests more of a throuple arrangement. Not for me personally, so smash, but not something I'll judge for. What's the 4 of a kind joker in the set called? Oh. Oh god, no. No, get the f*** out of my video. Going past that, the order joker for straights would already sound just a little intense. Referring to something as an order gives me very stiffly official vibes, but as I'm writing this during Pride Month, being straight is, of course, legal, so pass. Finally in this group, we have the tribe, which fits right in with the trio for me. Polyamory is not my thing, so I'm going to have to pass it, but if it's your prerogative, then more power to you. Speaking of power, one of the main draws of Balatro are the ludicrously high scores that you can achieve. The most iconic build that gets you there being a good old Baron build, so let's rate the jokers associated with it. Starting with the Baron, this is a pretty easy path for me simply because, despite my eternal debuff of being British, we do not like the monarchy here. Kings and queens, cringe, and dumb, and we do not support them here in this household. To the guillotine with ye, but thanks for the high score, I appreciate it. Then we have the ever-iconic Blueprint and Brainstorm, the hollow Charizards of jokers in this game. The jokers you see in the shop and just know Jimbo himself is smiling down upon you that day. And the concept of these two being blank slates almost fits their copying of other jokers perfectly. In terms of this video, Brainstorm is very ragged and rushed, which gives an air of slobbiness that I can't mesh well with, so pass. But Blueprint is more refined, put together and complex, there's more to latch onto there. Plus that side-eye adds just a bit of spice, which I also appreciate, so all around, smash for Blueprints. Finally, we have the Invisible Joker, which is going to be copying all of the Blueprints and Brainstorm for those high score runs, but it's also the one I have the least to talk about. It's literally a blank slate meant to be sold 2 rounds after you get it. It's the one night stand of jokers, and I'm not about that. Pass. When we're talking about the strongest jokers, there's no better place to look than the quintet of legendary jokers you can get from the Soul card, who are all actually based on real jokers and jesters from history. Starting with Canio, who is a reference to Pagliacci. His whole thing is being a violent murderer, both in-game as he scales from killing face cards, and the character he's based on, who kills his wife and her lover during a goddamn stage performance. So this is literally the killer clown we've been so scared of this whole time. Pass. Triboulet is a reference to potentially up to 3 jesters from the French monarchy, who have very vague accounts of their antics, but the most well-known story is about him slapping a king's ass, telling him to his face that he thought it was the king's wife, and then somehow getting out of the death penalty by asking for his method of death to be old age, which was so funny to the king that he just banished him instead. What a fucking legend. That level of sauce and wit is one of the most attractive things anyone could ask for. Easy smash. Then we have Yorick, who was an utter pain to research because of the goddamn League of Legends character. Anyway, he was a character talked about in Hamlet after the titular character and his mate Horatio are gravedigging, causing him to reminisce about how much he loved playing with the jester as a child, showing that Yorick is one of the most pure-hearted jokers in this group, at least great with kids. I also do love the yellow colour scheme for this guy, so I'll give him a smash. He's likely the safe option out of the 5. Chicot, whose real name is Jean-Antoine Dangleret, is likely the most simplistic of the 5 legendaries. He was known to not fear royalty at all, talking shit to them at will, which was where his disabling boss thing comes from. But apart from that, his design is kind of terrifying. Pass. Finally, we have Perkio, of Heidelberg, if we're being formal, who was known to be a massive party animal, and who could drink 5 to 8 gallons of booze at a time. That abundance likely being where his cloning of consumables comes from. And while he would be hilarious for a night out, this man would be a dysfunctional partner at the best of times, so pass on that front. From the strongest or at least the rarest jokers, let's look at the jokers who work well with arguably the strongest kinds of cards in the game, the face cards. Shoot the Moon, or Baron from Wish.com, is a reference to the game Heart, more specifically a strategy where you try to get every card in your hand, which would normally be a very bad strat unless you get them all, alongside the Queen of Spades, which can end up being a blowout victory, or at least I think it is. I know nothing about the actual game, I'm gonna be honest, and the design of the Joker isn't doing much to save my indifference to the reference, so pass. The Faceless Joker and the Midas Mask both allow your face cards to make you some money, the Faceless giving you some money by discarding your face cards, while the Mask is placed on your face cards and turns them all golden, both of which are pretty fun to use. The sprite for the Faceless Joker is literally identical to Jimbo outside of the obvious, so outside of the fun gameplay there's nothing of interest here, pass. But the Midas Mask has a very interesting sprite that almost looks a bit creepy, in the way an old painting or relic does, and that intrigue is really interesting to me, so honestly, smash. Lastly, the Photograph, half of the iconic Photo Chad combo. Hanging Chad, by the way, gets a pass. It's a reference to how failed hole punching messed up a presidential election, and also How I Met Your Mother, but apparently I have nothing to say. And one of the strongest common jokers, the sprite seemingly depicts not Jimbo. His neck decoration is entirely different, there's no bobbles, so unless it's a different outfit, this isn't Jimbo. There's some mystery afoot here. Who is this lookalike? Is he trying to imitate Jimbo? A simple copycat perhaps? Or maybe it's a usurper, jealous of the power Jimbo holds as the mascot, and he's trying to take over. And this photograph is the only look we have of this imposter. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah, pass I guess. Money is arguably the most important part of the game and your success in any given run, and we just so happen to have a solid amount of jokers based on money, so let's do them now. Starting with the Golden Joker and Ticket, the former is another Jimbo reskin, having a nice golden gleaming palette to it, while the Golden Ticket references the golden ratio of all things, with the numbers on top being the first few digits, both of them having a nice shine to them, but I fear that their over-obsession with money would lead to them being neglectful. They're chasing the bag and nothing else, so pass for both, but I respect the effort. Bootstrap and the Bull both give you malt and chips respectively based on how much money you've got in the bank, which is also giving Gold Digger vibes, so not a great start. And the Bull is also a literal animal, so that's an easy pass, but I'm gonna be honest, massive silly boots have got to be one of my favourite clothing items there is, especially with the cowboy spurs on the heel. I'm smashing them just because of that, and I'm not sorry about it. Lastly, the Vagabond uses money as more of a condition, generating a tarot card whenever you play a hand while you've got less than $4, fitting its impoverished design, which is just not a kind of person I feel comfortable dating. Not because I have any prejudice against people who are struggling, I just truly don't think a relationship is what this guy needs right now. I'll gladly support him, but I'm passing. Just all the best, man, you've got this. Seeing that golden Joker reminds me that we still have a decent amount of Jimbo lookalikes to tackle, such as the green Joker, which functions similarly to Ride the Bus, but instead of focusing on what you play, the green Joker just needs you to use your discards a bit more sparingly by giving you mults for every hand you play, but reducing it when you discard. A fun playstyle that makes this guy seem very energetic and lively, and I really enjoy that, so smash for the green man. Swashbuckler and Fortune Teller are two more examples. The former has this air of swagger and confidence to it. We all love our witty warriors like the Robin Hoods of the world, and this guy also has a funny pirate hat, so smash. But the Fortune Teller feels much more held back, more focused on their role than any personality. So while I do love the purple on the outfit, I fear that they would be a bit too intense for me. Pass.
And then
There's Mr. Bones.
he's dead.
There's still a few Jokers that represent a specific activity or role, such as the Burglar, one of the only confirmed criminals in the roster and not someone that really seems suitable for dating. I'm not into the whole Bonnie and Clyde kind of thing, nor am I really familiar with their story, so sorry, but gotta pass on you. Bad boys are fine, but not this kind. The Runner and Hiker are both athletic and active Jokers, just in different ways and speeds, but I'm way more interested in the Hiker personally. I very much respect the dedication and fitness needed to be a track athlete, but I'm worried I won't fit into their schedule because of that, so pass. But the Hiker has a much more mellow and relaxing hobby, and one that very much fits in with my interests. Going on a hiking date with someone with such a friendly beard sounds lovely. Smash for the Hiker. Just a couple more here. The Card Sharp and Vampire, whose inclusion in this section is tentative, but bear with me, both land on the nefarious side of occupations, but they're still worth a look. Sharp may remind you of a hacker, but it's actually a reference to pro poker players such as Phil Luck, who wore a similar outfit pretty often during professional games, which I imagine is a pretty exhilarating career path, if not very stressful, but also one that takes a bit too much commitment for me to fit into their life, so pass. But dating a vampire... am I that kind of freak? Nah. I like my blood and not having holes in my neck. Pass as well. Speaking of freaks, there's a couple of Jokers that, naturally, look a lot less put together than the others, such as the Burn Joker, who seems pretty happy about being singed like this. It's giving Pyromaniac, and I don't know how I'd feel about dating that kind of person. I think fire is pretty. I've been known to stare at it for strange amounts of time, but to the point of self-immolation, nah, pass. Then we have Stuntman, a different kind of crazy, more of an entertainer which I can get behind, but would you really be able to watch your lover constantly put themselves in life-threatening, jackass-like scenarios for a crowd? I don't think my soul could take the stress. Pass, but respect. Then we have the Literal Madness Joker, the personification of the crazy clown thing that I've been banging on about this whole video. And another confirmed killer in the cast, as its whole use case is sacrificing other Jokers for its own gain, so not only is it not mentally all there, it's also very selfish. Immediate pass, there's no redeeming this thing. Would you believe me if I said that there's still enough money Jokers to make yet another section on them? Well, goddammit there is. Starting with Matador, the charming bullfighter that pays you to trigger the boss blinds, much like he triggers and goads the bull to charge at him. I've always loved the aesthetic of bullfighters, despite my general disdain for entertainment that comes at the detriment of animals, but you unfortunately need charisma and bravery to put on a show like that, so honestly, smash. Cloud9 and To the Moon both provide some passive income, Cloud9 giving you $1 extra for every 9 in your deck, and Moon basically doubling the amount of interest you accrue, both of which being pretty solid options, but Cloud9 just needs so much commitment to your deck to use, and the sprite itself doesn't do a lot for me despite having exactly 9 clouds, which is cute, so overall pass. And To the Moon doesn't fare much better solely because it reminds me of annoying crypto people, so pass again. Lastly, mail-in rebate and reserve parking are two of the stronger econ Jokers you can get. The $5 you get per discarded card of a random rank can be huge no matter where you are in the run, and reserve parking can really pop off in something like a Baron run too. Mail-in Rebate also has a great reference where the address on it is goddamn Jerry Seinfeld's. So for such a neat idea and great gameplay, I'm giving it a smash, but reserved parking doesn't feel nearly as fun to use as often and doesn't have any fun details that speak to me, so pass. And with that, we've only got 22 more jokers to cover. I think most of these into any theme or category is starting to get really difficult, outside of a couple of obvious pairs and stuff. These are some of the most obscure and hard to discuss jokers in the entire game, so instead of trying to rack my brain and come up with some stretchy justification for grouping these in with each other, how's about we charge into the final stretch with one last lightning round. For the final time today, let's get this done. We always love the shine that comes with a nice, clean plate of metal. Plus, steel implies a very confident and hard-to-shake personality and physical form as well, both which I can get behind, smash. We've had a lot of capitalist ideals seep into these jokers, but now we have a joker for the people that literally empowers the lower class to improve working conditions, and we can commend that, but pass. It's still just a fist, and I'm not into whatever people do with those. Pretty much just another Jimbo clone, colour scheme and all, but with a different background. Yes, I do respect glass artworks and the precision it takes, but past that, I feel nothing. Pass, but fair enough as an artist. Designing a Joker to look like the many tarot cards in this game is an obvious choice, and having a Joker that embodies the mysticism and wonder of the tarot seems very fun, so smash for this guy, he seems very intriguing. I mean, come the hell on. There isn't even a Joker to look at here, just pass, get a move on. A pretty unique design for an effect that combines spades with clubs as a pair, and diamonds with hearts as the other. Plus, we love more representation for Jokers who have been in terrible accidents, so while I will pass because there's no appeal to me here, still glad he's around. Even more gambling, baby! Hell yes! Smash every day. One of the prettiest sprites in the entire game with this gorgeous desert sunset. This place would be perfect for the end of a cozy date, their head resting on your shoulder as you simply enjoy each other's company. Easy smash for the romantic energy. Big question here, can the throwback throw it back? Okay, but actually, the 80s carpet pattern in the background and the retro VR headset on the Joker, mixed with the really saturated palette, is such a nice vibe artistically. It gives off a very fun-loving and goofy feeling that I do enjoy. So smash for this guy, I feel like I'd have fun. This Aku looking ass does have a neat and very colourful design, but I'm worried that trying to do anything with this thing is a form of blasphemy or major disrespect, so pass for my own safety and respect. Pretty decent concept, if a little boring in execution. Does it get my seal of approval? Not really. It's a very fun and chaotic Joker in gameplay, but past that it's pretty boring, like, yay, legal document, how exciting. Pass. This thing gets an immediate pass from me because, oh my god, everything about blackboards is a sensory nightmare. The chalk rubbing off on your hand, the sound of the chalk scraping on the boards, ugh, hatred. Maybe one of the hardest passes in the game for me. A very unique and detailed sprite considering the name is so basic. This surpasses the rest of the Jimbo clones while also embodying the chips of the game. Definitely one of the more gamified Jokers, but still pretty neat. Smash. Even the realm of quantum physics isn't safe from this game, and using that concept to represent how aces can be either a 1 or 11 in scoring is honestly genius. I'm unfortunately going to pass because I don't feel like I could give my life to a scientist personality, but this is a great design concept, no notes on that front. I do appreciate having a nice plan for the day. Makes me think this Joker would be very well put together and reliable. Plus they seem very athletic and fit with the jogging and karate. Plus the rumination suggests some emotional intelligence too. Honestly, it's the full package, smash. We do love our squares here as an avid pixel art lover, but a decently cute sprite doesn't make up for this being basically another Jimbo reskin, just shaped a little differently, so I'm not hugely interested, pass. One of the kings of times mult, I really enjoy the 3D effect on the sprite in-game. It makes this thing seem very unique and confident almost. Plus the old CRT vibe is really fun as well, so smash for the aesthetic alone honestly. This is another Joker that I can very much respect, but is also aggressively not my thing. The acting skills and athletic prowess needed to be a professional luchador is impressive, but not the kind of intensity that I can handle with a partner, so unfortunately it's a pass.
Okay, $19 gift card. Who wants it?
Not me. finally we get to my favourite Joker in the game. Lucky card builds are my absolute favourite, and having an adorable kitty cat that just gets absurdly strong if you get lucky enough feels incredible. So, pass for the sake of the video because it is a cat, but on the pet scale, absolute S tier. We've got a couple of collectible cards here. I've never been very into sports cards of any type, despite my love for card games in general, so pass on the former. But the trading card is a lot closer to most other TCGs, which I care about a lot more. And the function mimicking selling single cards for money is really fun too, so smash for a really fun and unique reference to TCG culture that feels like it's pandering to me, and I'm falling for it. The effect making the Joker stronger for every reroll is a kind of fun reference to people cycling through flashcards to jog their memories, but past that, this Joker is thoroughly unimpressive, so pass, nothing of note here. A pretty funny concept for a Joker based around 2 pairs, but I'm sorry, these are not very pleasing clothes to look at. The patches on the legs are in the most random places. The colours, mainly their placement, look so tacky and thrown together. It's a pass. You wouldn't catch me dead wearing these in public at all, let alone on a date. And to end this chaotic pile of a video, we have the innocent and loving smiley face, which has no trivia on the wiki, no complexity to look at. It's a simple, reassuring smile to make you feel better, and honestly, after all we've been through today, or after a particularly stressful day as well, what could be better than seeing your loved one smile? Smash for just being there for all of us. So, there you have it. My opinions on a topic that no one even asked for, but I thought would be funny. Normally I wrap up my longer videos with some sort of closing statement about something actually thought-provoking or at least some personal touch, but you know what? I just had to sit and edit this monster, so I think I have the right to self-advertise at least a little bit right now. Firstly, join my new Discord, you get to hang out with other people who have to deal with my tomfoolery. And secondly, follow me on Twitch, where I've actually been streaming a ton more right now. And most importantly, thank you all so much for watching, make sure to polychrome that subscribe button, and as always, I'll see you when I see you. Bye!